Hello dear learners, greetings of the day. Today I will be discussing how to design a welded plate girder with intermediate and bearing stiffeners. Girders are used to transfer the load which is coming laterally. Girders are generally called as a beam. Hence, for heavy loads, these girders designed by using steel members. You can see here the intermediate and end bearing stiffeners are provided if the loads are large and there is a possibility of buckling of these web members. You can see there is a I section here. In this I section, if the depth is large, the web depth is also large. What happens? The buckling will be happening due to the shear and the bending force. So, to overcome that, these intermediate stiffeners are provided. These plates are flat plates which are provided at particular spacing throughout the span. Okay. Also, end bearing stiffeners is provided in order to transfer the load safely at the junction. Okay. By this understanding, let us design a welded plate girder of 20 meter span to support a uniformly distributed live load of 75 kN per meter over a span using the following data. See, this example is similar to the previous problem. I have taken the same problem and with reduction of web thickness, how we could design the structure. For comparing, the same problem is being used. The data given is the center to center distance between the girder will be 20 meter and a uniformly distributed live load will be a 70 kN per meter and yield strength of steel for web as well as the flange will be 250 Newton per mm square. What we have to do is we have to design a plate girder to conform the specification as per IS 800. Okay. For arriving the loads on the plate girder, this in detail we have already discussed in previous lecture. You can check my previous lecture. And for arriving the factored load, we will be multiplying the uniformly distributed load, that is 70 into 20, it will be 2100 kilonewton. And to assume the self weight, this 2100 divided by 200, and if you divide this, you will be having a self weight of 10 kilonewton per meter. So the total factor load will be 80 kilonewton per meter. And bending moment and shear force, we will be considering the girder as a simply supported beam and the bending moment and shear force is considered. So the bending moment formula will be WL square divided by 8 and shear force formula will be W is load and L is the span divided by 2. For providing a economical section, we have a formula that is M by K divided by Fy. Here M is the design moment and K is a constant. If you divide D by TW, it will be less than or equal to 200 times epsilon. This constant, this relation is known as the K, and to the power of 0.33. In order to check this, to find epsilon, 250 divided by Fy power 1 by 2, that is root. If you, for the current design, we have assumed the yield strength of the steel as 250, hence the value will be 1. To find K, 200 into epsilon will be 1, the final answer of K will be 200. Okay, let us substitute everything in this formula. That is M we already arrived as 4000 kilonewton meter and K is 200 divided by Fy is 250, power of 0.33. If you substitute this and simplify, you will be getting approximately 1500 mm. This is what we have already substituted, and allowing 40 mm flange plates, that is 1420 mm. Okay, let us check for the both condition, that is serviceability criteria and shear buckling consideration. Before a design, we should assume a member and the sizes should be assumed, and we should check for the criteria which is given in the codal norms. For the serviceability criteria, it needs depth by thickness of web should be lesser than or equal to 200 times epsilon. In detail, I have given this step also in the previous lecture. You can refer that for the class. And if we consider the epsilon as 1, then to find the thickness of web, so d by thickness of web should be lesser than or equal to 200 times epsilon. Now we know the depth, and the depth here is 1420. The total depth will be 1500. If you subtract 40 and 40, the thickness of the flange, you will be getting 1420. So if you cross multiply, the thickness of web should be greater than 7.1 mm. And for shear buckling consideration, the depth by thickness of web should be greater than 67 epsilon. So we know the depth. If you cross multiply, now in the case it will be reverse. Here it should be greater than 7.1, but here it should be lesser than 21.2. So we got the answer as 21.2. Hence we can assume above 7.1 and 21.2 below this. So in between that, we are assuming 8 mm now for this design. Earlier we have assumed 20 mm. Right now we are using a lesser web plate. So the point here is we can assume as per the guideline of Indian standard. So why not 6 mm? That is, it will not satisfy the serviceability consideration. You can assume above 7.1 and 21.2. Okay. Also, the width of the flange approximately might be 0.2 to 0.3 times the depth. So that is, the breadth of flange should be 0.2 times the depth. So the depth here is 1420. If you multiply this, you will be getting 288 mm. Also, if you consider 0.3 times of depth, you will be getting 426 mm. Hence, in between this, we are following 350 mm as the breadth of flange. Now, we have arrived the breadth of flange, and the thickness of web is also assumed according to the guideline. Depth, okay. Here, the end panel is subjected to maximum shear force will be checked for the shear strength requirement. For that, there is a relation, that is d by Tw should be lesser than 200 epsilon. That is, what we have assumed is 1420 divided by 8. Our thickness what we arrived is 8. Hence, if you divide this, our value which we are getting is 177.5. So this is lesser than the condition. Hence, the plate girder satisfies the serviceability criteria. This we already checked, and after providing the thickness of the web, also it satisfies the serviceability criteria. So you can find this in class 8.6.1.1, that is depth by thickness of web should be less than or equal to 200 times epsilon. The web connected to the flanges along both longitudinal edges. Okay. Next, for plastic and compact section, the ratio should be breadth of flange divided by thickness of flange. The class is given in previous lecture, you can refer that, should be lesser than 8.4 epsilon or 9.4 epsilon. So here we have assumed thickness of flange as 40 mm, hence this value is 8.7. So it comes in between 8.4 and 9.4. Hence this ratio satisfies the plastic section requirement. Now what we have done is we have assumed the width of the flange and it satisfies the design guideline. Also the thickness of the flange also satisfies the design guideline. Okay, now let us start the check for shear and check for bending moment. Okay, what we have done is the I section is being designed. For the designed I section, let us check for the shear, that is nominal shear. Vn is nominal shear, which is also known as critical shear. Assuming the depth of stiffener spacing C equal to depth of the web D as 1.4, that is C by D, that is C is the spacing distance. So for each and every stiffener we are going to follow a same spacing. This is known as intermediate stiffener. So this ratio should be 1.4 as per the guideline here. So the minimum stiffener, the transverse web stiffener not subjected to external loads or moment should have a second moment of area, that is IS. This is the moment of inertia about the center line of the web. If the stiffeners are on the both side of the web and about the face of the web, if the single stiffener on only one side of the web is used, such that they have given this relation. So the C by D should be greater than or equal to root of 2, that is root of 2 is 1.41, so it will be nearly 1.4, it is equal to 1.4. Now we are taking this from this relation and we know the depth, which is 1420. If you cross multiply, we will get the spacing. Now we got C as 1988 mm. If you round it off, we will be providing 2000 mm as the center to center distance between the stiffeners. Okay, now the stiffeners spacing is being designed for the shear consideration and adopting the stiffener spacing as 2000 mm, providing 10 panels of 2 meter. We are having 20 meter span, and for each and every meter span we will be providing a intermediate stiffener. Okay. Now these are the norms for shear buckling design. For checking our provisions, whatever we have provided as the stiffener, we should check for the load carrying capacity. Okay, how to check that we will see one by one, and before that the class 8.4.2.2, that is shear buckling design method, is being given for nominal shear, how to check for the shear consideration, and also the next criteria is given as compression flange buckling requirement. When transverse stiffeners are not provided, so this condition will not be coming this time when transverse stiffeners are provided. Now we are designing with the transverse stiffener. So when C is lesser than 1.5 times D, so what is our 1.5 times D is? So our D will be 1420, and if you multiply it will be more than 2000. Hence in between these two conditions we will be having the second condition. Okay, for this our depth by thickness of the web should be lesser than 345 times epsilon of the flange. So now the epsilon of the flange is given here, that is 250 divided by Fy. The Fy is the yield strength, which is 250. So if you divide this, you will be getting 1, root of 1 is 1. So now, okay, now we know that epsilon is 1 and 345 into 1. Now the depth and thickness of the web. So if you divide 1420 divided by thickness of the web is 8, we will be getting 177.5, which is lesser than 345. Hence, the buckling of compression flange will be eliminated. So for proving that the buckling in the compression flange is safe, we are doing this step. And also, let us go to the next criteria. Okay, there are different methods. Two methods is given in the codal book. Now we will be following simple post critical method. So if you follow this method, here how to check for the nominal shear, it is, or the critical shear is given here. That is, if you want critical shear, the area into the shear stress. So how to find the shear stress? For finding the shear stress for buckling, B is buckling. To find the shear stress, the corresponding to the web buckling determined as follows. Now we need a constant, that is lambda of web. So this is an independent constant, that is lambda. Web is an independent constant. You have to find lambda w. Okay, how to find this lambda w? You are having a formula, that is Fy of w, that is web yield strength. So our web yield strength will be 250 divided by root of 3. Now here another shear stress is here. What do you mean by that? This is elastic critical shear stress of the web. How to find this? A relation is given, that is Kv pi square E divided by 12 1 minus mu square, the bracket of d by thickness of web, the whole square. Now a constant Kv can be found by when the transverse stiffeners are provided only at support. We can take this 5.35, or else there are two cases, that is C by D is lesser than 1 or C by D is greater than or equal to 1. Now our C by D is greater than or equal to 1. So this is our condition. Our C is 2000 and D is 1420. If you divide this, the value will be more than 1. Hence we will be following, for identifying K suffix V, we have 5.35 plus 4 divided by CD square. So now let us find this Kv. Yes, our C and C by D value will be 1.4. We already know that. If we square that and substitute the remaining values, we will be getting Kv as 7.37, assuming a Poisson's ratio of 0.3 here. Now if you know the Poisson's ratio and Kv, you can find the average shear stress. Now we have found out the Kv, and if you substitute Kv here and E is the Young's modulus, mu is assumed as 0.3 and all the values are known. So now we found the critical elastic shear stress. The critical elastic shear stress will be 42.7 Newton per mm square. Okay. After finding this, what we have to do? We have to substitute here in order to find the non-dimensional web slenderness ratio for shear buckling stress. If you substitute here, you will get lambda w. After finding this, there will be a range in between these three. Okay, let us find this. Now we know that the elastic critical shear stress is 42.7. If you substitute here, our range of lambda w will be 1.83. Now at which condition in between these three our lambda is greater than 1.2, that is we are having 1.83, hence we can use this formula for finding tau b. This is buckling shear. Okay. If you substitute lambda w here, which is 1.83, we can find tau b, which is 43.17. Okay. After finding this, we have a formula to find critical shear, that is AV into tau b. Now we know that tau b is 43.17. We can substitute here, and the area, which is the buckling area. What is this buckling area? This is depth and thickness of the web. Right now we are checking the web shear carrying capacity and D by TW. We know D is 1420 and thickness of web is 8. So if you divide this by 1000, you will be getting in terms of kilonewton, 490.41. Okay. Now what we found is critical shear which is happening in this section is 490.41 kilonewton, which is lesser than 800 kilonewton. What is this 800 kilonewton? Which is the shear which is acting in the section what we have arrived. So which is lesser than this, hence it is safe. If we design for 800 kilonewton or more, our section will be safe. Already now the greater shear is 800 kilonewton, hence we don't have to worry about this condition. Okay. Next, let us go for bearing stiffener. What do you mean by bearing stiffener is, this is end bearing stiffener. We know that for transferring the load at the junction, we need a bearing stiffener. That's why we are providing a end bearing stiffener. For that, Codal guideline gives a class, that is 8.5 stiffened web panels, that is end panel design. How to design a end panel? We can use this tension field action method and you can design the end bearing stiffener. Okay. The design of end panels in girder which are designed using tension field action shall be carried out in accordance with provision mentioned herein. In this case, the end panel, that is panel B, shall be designed according to 8.4.2.2b. Okay. Additionally, it should be provided with an end post consisting of single or double stiffener. We are providing a single stiffener in this design, hence we shall abide this section A. The top of the end post should be rigidly connected to the flange using full strength welds. So this is the condition, the top of the end post should be rigidly connected by the flange using full strength of weld. The end post should be capable of resisting the reaction plus moment from the anchor force equal to 2/3 of this moment. This moment force is tension which is acted on the compression flange. Due to this tension field force, where MTF, that is moment at tension field, this TF indicates tension field, is obtained from 8.5.3. Yes, let us go to 8.5.3 and how to check for this. There you have a formula. This is resultant longitudinal shear. So the resultant shear is given as R and the moment due to this is given as M. Let us find these two components. To find resultant, you need HQ divided by 2, and to find moment by using tensile field action, you need HQD divided by 10. How to find HQ? This is 1.25 Vp, where Vp is dtfy divided by root of 3. Now we know this components. The depth of the flange is 1420 and the thickness 8 mm and fy is 250 divided by root 3. Yes, we have substituted all the component, and if you divide by 1000 you will be getting in terms of kilonewton. We are getting Vp, that is designed shear, as 1641.61 kilonewton. We already know that the critical shear, which is 490.41. Okay, what is required here is the critical shear divided by the shear which we have identified here is Vp. You should divide that, and 1 minus this value should be rooted, and if you find HQ, the value will be you will be getting 1703.17 kilonewton. Now HQ is found out, and if you multiply into D divided by 10 you will be getting moment at tension field. So the moment at tension field is 241.8 kilonewton meter. Okay, the thing what we have found out is moment at tension field we have found out, and we know that the support reaction is 800 kilonewton, which is the shear at the support, and the spacing of the stiffener C is 2000 mm. So in order to find the tension field force due to this moment, this is force we are identifying due to this moment, is 241.8 into 10 power 6. We are converting kilonewton meter into newton mm, hence we are multiplying 10 power 6. Our C will be 2000 divided by 10 power 3. For converting this into kilonewton we are multiplying into 10 power 3. So if you divide this you will be getting a force. This force is 120.9 kilonewton. Okay, what do you mean by this force? See, you are having a simply supported beam. Due to the load which is acting, what will happen? There will be upward force. Let me go to this slide. Go to the section. See, this is a plate girder. There is load which is acting. You are right now designing the stiffeners and end bearing stiffeners. These are all intermediate stiffeners. So due to this load, what will happen? At the end there will be a tensile force. It will bend in a concave way. What happens in this concave path? At the support there will be a tension which is acting. So this tensile force which we have identified. So now let us go to the yes. So right now the force we have identified as 120.9 kilonewton. Okay, we already have 800 kilonewton, which is the shear force which is acting, and if you add the additional force which is 120.9, we will be getting 920.9 kilonewton. So this is the total force which is acting on the section. So at the top it will be compression and at the bottom it will be tension. Okay, now the area of the stiffener required is, it should be greater than 0.8 F into gamma m divided by Fy. We arrived this formula by using the class 8.7.5 design load carrying stiffener. For buckling check it is given here, and for bearing check. Right now we are doing bearing check, and the load carrying web stiffeners should also be sufficient size that the bearing strength of the stiffener. So this is the bearing strength of the stiffener, F PSD, that is design bearing strength of the stiffener, given below is not less than the load transfer, which is f of x. So it should not be below this. So what is the equation is AQ FYQ. This is AQ is area of the stiffeners in contact with the flange. Required AQ, the area of the bearing stiffener. We know the force which is acting, that is 920.9, and if you cross multiply the 0.8 gamma m and Fy will be cross multiplied in order to find AQ, what is the area which is required. So if you cross multiply this, and gamma m will be 1.1, which is material safety, and Fy will be 250 into 10 power 3. In order to get this value, see 920 is in terms of kilonewton. If you want in Newton, you can multiply in terms of 10 power 3. So Fy is in terms of Newton per mm square. Hence, if you simplify this, you will be getting 3242 mm square. So the area of the stiffener should be more than this. Hence, we shall assume a flat size, flats are a section which is rectangular, which will be having 170 by 20 mm. So we will be providing two stiffeners at both the side of the flange. So if you multiply by 2, you will be getting 6800 mm square. So which is greater than 3242. Hence we can provide this size of the stiffener. Okay, this is what we have designed right now. See, we have provided 170 into 20 mm plates. So this width is 170 and the thickness along the other direction will be 20. It runs throughout the height of the web. So this is the plates which is provided for the end bearing. And if we are multiplying it by 2, why? Because we are providing two flange plates. Okay. Now let us check for the web stiffeners. Here class 8.7.1.2 says that the outstand of the web stiffener, unless the outer edge is continuously stiffened. So we are not continuously stiffening here. Hence the value which is given here, that is 20 TQ epsilon and 14 TQ epsilon, this value should be less than these two criteria. So let us check for that. The outstand of the stiffener right now we have provided is 170. So this is the outstand of the stiffener. It should be lesser than 20 TQE, that is epsilon, that is thickness. T is thickness. Thickness we have provided as 20. If you multiply 20 into 20 into 1, you will be getting 400, which is greater than 170 mm. Hence it is okay. And also the outstand should be lesser than 14 TQ into epsilon. So if you substitute TQ as 20, you will be getting 280. In both the cases, it is lesser than 170 mm. Hence, the outstand satisfies both the criteria. Okay. Now let us check for the buckling resistance of web stiffener. Earlier, what we have done? See, the earlier part also we have designed the web stiffeners and we arrived the thickness. See, the whole process is designing the section of a stiffener. We have designed 170 by 20 as the size of the stiffener. Right now we are doing is checking for the buckling resistance. So what is the load carrying capacity of the web stiffener? Okay. How to find that? Buckling resistance of stiffener is given here, that is 8.7.1.5 gives that the buckling resistance of the stiffener. In order to find that, we shall use this formula, that is buckling resistance of stiffener is computed as FCD into A. What is this FCD? The FCD could be found by using 7.1.2.1 of the strut and curve C. So we have to refer for the curve C, and area is 6800. How we arrived at 6800 is, we have provided two plates of 170 into 20 size. So that is 6800 divided by 1000. Now how to find this FCD? In order to find this, we are having a curve C. This curve C is given here. See, referring to table 9C of IS 800 2007, Fy 250 Newton per mm square. So if we refer this C curve, we need a value of KL divided by R. What do you mean by KL divided by R? Let us find this constant. So KL here is, KL is given as 0.7 into length. When the flange length is restrained against rotation in the plane of stiffeners by other structural element. So yes, in our case, the flange is restrained against rotation by using the stiffener. Why? Because it is touching the flange of the stiffener. So hence our condition will be 0.7 L. So okay, 0.7 into L is the depth. The depth of the web stiffener is 1420. If you multiply, you will be getting 994 mm. Now we know KL. Okay, how to find this Rx? R is the radius of gyration at the x-axis. How to find this Rx? In order to find radius of gyration, you need moment of inertia divided by area. If you root that, you will be getting radius of gyration. How to find moment of inertia? You are having a section, see, you are having a I section, and you need moment of inertia of two plates. So the size of the plate is, how to find the moment of inertia of this section is, we know that the width is, this is 170 plus 170 will be 340. Let us add this 8 mm, that is 348 mm, and after arriving the gross area, let us subtract the 8 mm, and we will be getting purely the plate moment of inertia. This is what we are doing, that is dB cube divided by 12. Our D is 20 and B here is 348, that is 170 mm plate into 2 plus the 8 mm. And what we are doing, we are subtracting that 8 mm web stiffener. So right now we are purely going to assess the web stiffener buckling resistance. That is why we are subtracting this component, that is dB cube divided by 12. So if you substitute, and you will be getting moment of inertia as 70.2 into 10 power 6 mm power 4. Okay, right now after getting the moment of inertia, if you divide by the area, you will be getting 101.6 mm. So Rx is also known here. If you divide 994 divided by 101.6, we get 9.8, which is nearly 10. So we have found the lambda. So the lambda here is 10 and our yield stress is 250. So if you relate this, you will be getting the yield stress as 227. Okay, FCD is 227 here. If you substitute 227 into the area divided by 1000, you will be getting 1543 kilonewton, which is the buckling resistance of the web stiffener. So this much of load these stiffeners can handle. Okay, what is the load which is coming here, which is the load is 800 kilonewton, so which is far greater than this. Hence our bearing stiffener is safe against the buckling. So even after adding the tensile force at the end, it was nearly 960, it is near to the 1000. So our resistance of the section is 1543, hence our section is safe at end. Okay. Now let's come to the intermediate stiffener. Right now the bearing stiffener is designed. Currently we will be designing intermediate stiffener. So in between the two support there will be intermediate stiffener. Now first identify the width and thickness of the plate, then we shall check for the capacity. The same thing as we have done in bearing stiffener. Okay. Assuming the spacing of stiffener C is 2000 mm, which we have already done. Now the ratio, which is the minimum stiffener condition, the ratio C by D should be greater than or equal to root of 2. What we have done is 1.4, which is nearly equal to root 2. Okay. First condition is being satisfied, and second condition, if you want to find the second moment of inertia, which should also be greater than, which is 0.75 depth into thickness of web cube. Okay. So let us find this. 0.75 into 1420, which is depth into thickness, is thickness of web, which is 8 cube, that is 0.54 into 10 power 6 mm power 4. Okay. So this is our moment of inertia. Let us adopt a intermediate stiffener comprising two flats. We are assuming and we are adopting 120 into 10 mm. So for end bearing we have adopted 170 into 20 mm. For intermediate stiffener we are providing 120 into 10 mm plates. Okay. So let us find the inertia of these stiffeners, only these stiffeners. Then how to do? Let us add all the gross area, which is 120 into 120 is 240 plus 8. This is 248. The same way, depth into breadth cube divided by 12 minus, we shall subtract the web moment carrying capacity. This is 8 cube divided by 12. If you find this, you will be getting 12.71 into 10 power 6 mm power 4. So we found that the moment of inertia is greater than this condition. So 12.71, which is greater than 0.54 into 10 power 6. Okay. Hence the outstand of the stiffener BS, that is in class 8.7.1.2, the outstand of the web stiffener is given. It should be lesser than this condition, that is 14 TQ. That is TQ, what thickness we are providing here is 10 mm and it is 140. It is lesser than the outstand width of the stiffener, which is 120. Hence this also satisfies the condition. This condition we have checked also for the end bearing stiffeners, and currently we are doing for intermediate stiffeners. Now let us check for the buckling on intermediate transverse web stiffener. We had a formula for checking the end bearing stiffener's strength. Right now in class 8.7.2.5, the intermediate transverse web stiffeners buckling check is being done. The stiffener not subject to external load or moment should be checked for the stiffener force. So okay. FQ is V minus VCR, that is V is factored shear force adjacent to the stiffener, that is 800, which is the shear which is acting, we found out initially, and VCR is critical shear buckling resistance, which we found as 490.41 divided by gamma MO. This is material factor of safety, which is 1.1. So how we are substituting 640 here is, see, the shear force at a distance of 2 meter from the support is computed as. Why we are considering at a shear force at 2 meter distance is, the end bearing stiffeners, let me explain here. See, the end bearing stiffeners are provided at the end and the shear which is nearly 800 at the support. Right now we are designing the intermediate stiffeners. See, this intermediate stiffener are starting 200 mm apart from the section. So that is why we are finding shear at 200 meter, 200 mm, that is 2 meter. Okay. If you want to find the shear force at that end is, our total load is 80, which is comprising dead load and live load, into 2 minus 800. So our shear at the stiffener will be 640. So 640 minus 490.1 divided by 1.1. We will be getting this answer in terms of kilonewton, that is 135.9 kilonewton. Okay. Let us find the buckling resistance of the intermediate stiffener. How to find that? The same way as we found in end bearing stiffener. We need lambda, that is L effective. So now 0.7 L will be applied, that 0.7 L will be 1420, that is 994. And also to find Rx. How to find the Rx here is, that is moment of inertia divided by area. So what is the area here? 120 plus 120 is 240 into 10, which is the thickness, plus we are adding, see, one point you should consider while designing the intermediate stiffener. An additional effective length of web equal to 20 thickness of web on each side of the center line of the stiffener is considered along with the stiffener. Here additionally you have to add this 20 TW. What is TW? Is thickness of web, which is 8. So our web thickness is 8, which is 160 mm. So along the length you should add 160 mm as the effective length. It will add strength to the intermediate stiffener. So that's why 160 into 2 in two ways, in both the axis, it's 160 plus 160. If you are adding, you will be getting 320 into 8. So the thickness is 8. The total area will be 4960 mm square. Also, in order to find moment of inertia at x, you can add the overall width, that is 120 plus 120 is 240 plus this 8, that is 248 cube, db cube divided by 12 minus, let us minus this 8 mm, that is d is 10, b is cube, 8 cube divided by 12. In order to this process, we are having additional support of resistance, which is 320 into 8 cube divided by 12. So 320 is 160 plus 160, which is the effective length, and the thickness of the web is 8. So if you add this moment of inertia, you will be getting 12.72 into 10 power 6. Okay. After substituting I and A, if you root that, you will be getting Rx. This is radius of gyration, which is 50.65. If you divide this LE and Rx, you will be getting 50.65. The value will be 19.62, which is nearly 20. Okay. For the same buckling class C, in the curve C, we shall find for KL divided by R is 20 and the yield stress will be 224. If you multiply 224 into 4960, see 4960, we already found that. Now we know that in order to find buckling resistance, we have the stress, which is the compressive stress carrying capacity, which is 224 into the area is 4960. If you multiply this, you will be getting the buckling resistance, which is 1112 kilonewton, which is greater than 640 kilonewton. What is this 640 kilonewton? We already found the 640 kilonewton as the shear here. So it is far greater than that, and also we shall check that FQ is 135. Our resistance is 1112. Hence, the bearing capacity of the stiffener is far greater. Hence, it is safe. Now, what we have finally consolidated is we have designed a plate girder of I section, which carries a flange of 350 mm and web of 40 mm. This will be throughout the span. Okay, in order to take the buckling resistance and shearing resistance, we have designed two stiffener. One is end bearing stiffener and other are intermediate stiffener. So the distance between the stiffener will be 2 meter throughout the section. Okay, in end bearing section, we should have a plate of 170 by 20, which is the thickness should be provided here, and it should be welded, and the remaining stiffeners are 120 into 10 mm plates. So these are all 120 into 10 mm plates, which is provided at both the sides. Okay. So this is the real time example of a plate girder with bearing and intermediate stiffeners. Practically, these plate girders are used for bridges which could carry a heavy loads such as a road bridge or a railway bridge. Here you can see a example of a railway bridge which is carrying the rail loads, and I think that this will have a good initiation of understanding the design of plate girder with stiffeners. Generally, in a load carrying structure, in heavy load carrying structure, the intermediate and web stiffeners are essential. Also, the section will not be a generally I section, it might be a built up section. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Happy learning. See you again. Thank you.